Welcome to the second episode of Continuous Improvement. In this episode, we're going to talk about doing what you love to do. Do I think you should do what you love to do? Spoiler alert, yes. Yes, I do. Welcome to Continuous Improvement. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this second episode of Continuous Improvement. If you're just joining us, I would encourage you to listen to the first episode, but you don't really need to. Basically, this show is about providing short bursts of positive energy for your daily life, ways to hopefully that let you improve yourself and make you a more positive, happier person. So as I mentioned in this episode, we're going to talk about doing the things you love to do. And I'm going to talk about a couple things that I love to do, and I would encourage you to think about, obviously, because I can't talk about every possible thing that people like doing, but I would encourage you to think about, while I'm talking about this, the things that you really love to do and how hopefully some of the things I'm saying can apply to your daily life. So I have a saying that I like to tell to people in regards to doing the things you love to do, and that's to do what you love to do as long as it does not negatively affect other people. And that's really important, because even if you love doing something, if it's hurting or impacting someone else's life in a negative way, then you might want to reevaluate that thing and see if maybe there's some way that you can alter what you're doing to have less of a negative impact, or just evaluate it and come to the conclusion that it's not worth it if it's affecting other people's lives. And on the flip side, I wanted to also talk about judging other people for what they love to do. And I see a lot of this in high school, because I'm a high school teacher. I see kids, and I shouldn't even just say high school, because this happens on a daily basis in my own life with other adults. But people have this need, it seems like, to want to judge what other people are doing and how other people like to live their lives, even if it has no effect on them. I know that when I was in middle school and high school, I liked to play a lot of nerdy games. Like I liked to play a lot of video games and watch a lot of nerdy shows, but also play Magic the Gathering, the card game. And I was ashamed of it at some point, that I really enjoyed doing this, and it's something that I love to do. And it's, looking back on it, it's so silly that I was ashamed of it. And we're going to talk about that a little bit too. But it was to the extent that my friends and I had a code name for Magic the Gathering that we would refer to it as, so that other people didn't know that we were talking about this nerd game. And luckily it got to the point where that code name, we just used it kind of for fun because it was goofy, but it started out as something that we used to hide the fact that we were doing something that we really loved to do. And again, going back to present day Paul, I see a lot of this in high school, whether it's kids playing Magic. I have kids that play Magic, and I totally encourage that. And other kids just want to make fun of them. And the thing that I like to tell those kids, or people that I see judging others for what they love to do, is that if it doesn't affect you, then why would you want to stop people from doing that? If something doesn't affect you at all, then why do you have the need to prevent others from doing it, prevent others from doing what they enjoy? So if it doesn't affect you, really think about, why does it bother you so much, and why does it bother you enough that you would have to make fun of someone for doing it? And that leads to the other question that I was thinking about while planning this episode out, was that do we make fun of the things that we don't understand? Is that kind of a natural reaction when we're faced with something that we don't fully understand? Because I'm sure when kids are playing Magic or when kids are playing Dungeons and Dragons or things like that, other people don't get it, and because they don't get it, maybe they feel like they need to make fun of it. And again, I don't really know why that is. I hope that it's not some sort of intrinsic human reaction. I don't believe that it is. I would rather believe that it's some sort of kind of societal pressure that we put on ourselves to always be looking for the coolest thing to do, the coolest clothes to wear, or the coolest bands to listen to. And if someone isn't doing those cool things, then we have to make fun of them because they're not doing those cool things, which is, of course, ridiculous and silly. But if you're kind of indoctrinated in this culture where it's normal and it's encouraged to make fun of the non-cool people or the non-cool things to do, then I mean it comes naturally to us. And I know I have totally been, I am no exception. I've totally been guilty of this many times, and it's something that this is kind of going back to the last episode, episode number 1, talking about continuous improvement and monitoring your daily actions and your daily thoughts. This is something that I've been trying to do pretty recently. I'm not even going to say that I've been doing this for a really long time, because I haven't. But more recently, I've been trying to think about whenever I have that urge to make fun of something that someone else enjoys, I really stop and I think, why does it matter? If this person is enjoying this thing, then why wouldn't I just let them enjoy it? Because it's not going to affect me in the slightest that they enjoy this thing. So let's just let them enjoy it. And it came up pretty recently when my brother was really into watching The Bachelorette, and again, I don't get it. So I was poking fun at him for it. But then after a while, I was like, well, if he enjoys doing it, then who cares? If it's something that someone enjoys, then really, who cares? It's silly that there are things that have to be quote unquote cool, and if something's not in that very small list, then we have to poke fun at it. And now going back to the person that is being the person that is doing the thing and getting made fun of for doing whatever you love to do, whether that's playing some board game or for the types of shows that you listen to, or just the things that you like to do with your life, I would encourage you to, as much as possible, try not to be bothered by others that don't get it. Try not to be bothered. And this is a monumental task, but I think one that if you can conquer this, it will make whatever you're doing so much more enjoyable. Because I know I still struggle when people that I hang out with find out that I am into Dungeons and Dragons or Magic or Warhammer or something like that, or something else that's classically defined as nerdy. I get this sense of being embarrassed and ashamed, and I know that I shouldn't. And while I'm feeling that, I'm like, who cares? If this person doesn't get it and wants to make fun of me for it, then who cares? And I know that it's not an easy thing to let yourself feel that way, and it's something that I personally am still struggling with, and trying to reach that point where I can just say, I don't care if you know that I'm into this. If you are going to make fun of me for it, then so be it. You're the one that's missing out on this incredibly enjoyable game. And I definitely take a lot of inspiration from some of my students in high school that do these types of things and legitimately don't care what other people think about them, and it's pretty inspiring. And I also use this on a different note. I also use this philosophy that if it doesn't affect you, then why let it bother you, or why make fun of someone for it? I also use it as an intro to combat homophobia, because I think especially younger people, when they just have been raised in this culture of heteronormativity, they don't get it. And like I was saying before, when you don't get something, you lash out against it. so I try to encourage them to think about my kind of philosophy. That is, if it doesn't affect you, then just let people do what they want to do. And this is like a very, very sort of intro to homophobia and those issues. But for someone that really, really doesn't get it at all, I personally think it is a good starting point to get them to at least acknowledge that it does not affect their life, and that they shouldn't be bothered by what other people enjoy doing, or how other people live their lives, or who other people love in this case. So that's something that's a slightly more serious of a topic, and definitely goes much, much deeper than what I just said. But again, I like to use that as a way to kind of breach the surface level. Something that's less serious, that I was also thinking about, things that I love doing or other people love doing that constantly gets made fun of, is the idea. So this idea shows up a lot in music, and people say, oh, you listen to that band stinks. And if a person enjoys listening to a particular band or type of music, then they get made fun of. But again, going back to this philosophy that if a person enjoys or loves something, just let them do it. If you don't get it, that's fine. And I know it's kind of, at least in Connecticut, it's kind of the cool thing to say, oh, you listen to country music. Country music is the worst. It stinks. It doesn't make any sense. The lyrics are bad and terrible, and it's awful music. But if someone likes listening to it, then who really cares? And especially with music, I feel like music is something that you don't really choose. Not necessarily, you don't really choose what kind of music you listen to. You can obviously your musical taste can obviously be shaped by the different bands you listen to, but for the most part, if you listen to something and you like it, then you like it. If you listen to something and you don't like it, you don't like it. There is gray area, but it's not something that people really have too much decision over, I don't think. And because of that, it's silly that we would say, like, you like listening to this music, you like doing something that you really don't have control over whether you like it or not, but I'm going to make fun of you anyways. I think it's kind of ridiculous. So if someone enjoys listening to a particular band or type of music, just let them do this, and let them do it. And of course, I've been guilty of this as well, making fun of people for listening to particular bands or liking a particular type of music. But hopefully, as I evaluate my thoughts and educate myself to these kind of philosophies further, I can just let people do what they want to do, and just let people live their lives. Yeah, so we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about a slightly bigger idea, still pertaining to doing what you love. So stick around, and we'll be right back. Hello, beauties out there. Thank you so much for listening to this show. This is the second episode of Continuous Improvement. You can find more about Continuous Improvement and the other podcasts on the Commentist Network at thecommentist.com, and you can also find us on iTunes and Stitcher. I would encourage you to check out some of the other great shows on the Commentist. I personally do two other shows. One's called The Bearded Vegans. That's where my friend Andy and I talk about vegan stuff. And then the other one's called Roll to Hit, where my brother and a bunch of my other friends play Dungeons and Dragons. Like I said, there's a ton of other great shows on the network, so please check us out. Again, that's thecommentist.com. All right, let's get back to Continuous Improvement. Welcome back to Continuous Improvement. If you are just joining us, then that would be very strange because this is a podcast, and that would mean that you would have had to skip halfway through it. So I hope that you didn't do that. But regardless, if you are just joining us, this episode is about doing the things that you love to do. And in the first part of the show, we talked about things like hobbies and music and things that you love to do just in your daily life. And I think it's very important to think about these things, or else I wouldn't have made an episode about it. But I also think it's important to think bigger in terms of the things that you love to do. And I think that doing what you love should apply not only to your daily life, but your whole life. And this could be in terms of your career or other dreams or goals that you have. And in terms of careers and jobs, one of my high school teachers gave me this piece of advice that has really, I've always thought about it. I didn't think it was a very big deal at the time, but it really is something that I think about pretty regularly. He said that in order for you to be happy with what you do with your life, with your career, your job, it has to have two things. It has to be something that you love to do, and it has to be something that helps other people. So that was his philosophy about being happy with your job. And while there are certainly many jobs out there that probably don't really help people in like a really deep sense, that they're still necessary jobs. So people still have to have jobs like that. I'm talking about maybe if someone is like the CEO of a staple company or something like that. I don't know. That's the first thing that came to my head. I don't know why. We could live our life without staples. It certainly would be a less fulfilling life, stapleless life, but it's something that is not really going to help people in a deep sense. But you know what? If someone's really happy doing that, then I say let them be. But I've always personally tried to find my way by doing those two things, doing something that I love and doing something that helps people. So you know what, if that's a piece of advice that you want to take, if that's how you want to help guide yourself, then I would encourage you. I know it's helped me out. And if you think that it's bogus, then you know what, just forget about it. And that goes for anything that I say in this podcast. So going back to what we were talking about, you really want to apply this philosophy of doing the things that you love to do to your entire life. And I would encourage you, if you have the means to work towards your dream or your goals in life, then what are you waiting for? And if you needed a sign, then this is your sign to get up and start achieving those dreams or start working towards your dreams and goals, because we only have a finite amount of time on this planet, and you really, really, really want to make the best of that time that you have. And in doing so, do the things that you love and help others also to do the things that they love and also to achieve their dreams. And of course, you may not have the means right now to work towards your goals and dreams. You could be barely scraping by, working at a minimum wage job or 2 minimum wage jobs that you really, really hate. But I promise you, an opportunity will come for you to achieve your dream and do what you really love. And it may seem like you're in a place right now where that is a hopeless possibility, but please do not give up on your dreams. I would encourage you, and I want you to think about those dreams every single day. Even if it seems hopeless right now, think about those dreams every single day. Talk about these dreams with your friends. Make a dream board. Just put up a board that has pictures and quotes and images of the things that you want to do, the things that you want to be, because I believe that visualizing yourself achieving this dream will help you achieve this dream. And you'll start to see, I think doing this will help you see opportunities that will help further your cause in achieving this dream. And I know that you will be able to do it, and I have all the faith in the world that you'll be able to do it. And I want you to make this life yours. So thank you so much for listening to this second episode of Continuous Improvement. I would encourage you to subscribe so that you can get a weekly episode in your iTunes, I guess. Please feel free to leave a comment or send me an email. My email is paul.m.stellar@gmail.com. Let me know what you think. Let me know what I should be changing about the show. Let me know if you want me to talk about something in particular. Let me know if you hated the show. I would just love any feedback at all. So again, thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you have a beautiful day. think about while I'm talking about this, the things that you really love to do, and how hopefully some of the things I'm saying can apply to your daily life. So I have a saying that I like to tell to people in regards to doing the things you love to do, and that's to do what you love to do as long as it does not negatively affect other people. And that's really important, because even if you love doing something, if it's hurting or impacting someone else's life in a negative way, then you might want to reevaluate that thing and see if maybe there's some. Welcome to the second episode of Continuous Improvement. In this episode, we're going to talk about doing what you love to do. Do I think you should do what you love to do? Spoiler alert, yes. Yes, I do. Welcome to Continuous Improvement. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the need, it seems like, to want to judge what other people are doing and how other people like to live their lives, even if it has no effect on them. I know that when I was in middle school and high school, I liked to play a lot of nerdy games. Like I liked to play a lot of video games and watch a lot of nerdy shows, but also play Magic: The Gathering, the card game. And it was I was ashamed of it at some point that I really enjoyed doing this, and it's something that I love to do. And it's the second episode of Continuous Improvement. If you're just joining us, I would encourage you to listen to the first episode, but you don't really need to. Basically, this show is about providing short bursts of positive energy for your daily life, ways to hopefully that let you improve yourself and make you a more positive, happier person. So as I mentioned, in this episode, we're going to talk about doing the things you love to do. And I'm going to talk about a couple things that I love to do, and I would encourage you to think about, obviously, because I can't talk about every possible thing that people like doing, but I would encourage you to way that you can alter what you're doing to have less of a negative impact, or just evaluate it and come to the conclusion that it's not worth it if it's affecting other people's lives. And on the flip side, I wanted to also talk about judging other people for what they love to do. And I see a lot of this in high school, because I'm a high school teacher. I see kids, and I shouldn't even just say high school, because this happens on a daily basis in my own life with other adults. But people have this